everybody, welcome back to Life Under Deborah's Palm, the Dementia Road. Let's try that again. I'm blowing spit bubbles. Hey everybody, welcome back to... Why does that look cockeyed still? Is it? Yeah, hold please. That's a little better. Hey everybody, welcome back to Life Under Deborah's Palm, the Dementia Road, where today I thought what we'd do is a video that was requested, and that video is concerning soothing and soothing boxes, which I'm not really going to tell you about the boxes, but I'm going to talk about dementia behavior and maybe how to soothe it, because you know, it's a disease that what works for one person doesn't work for another, and what works today doesn't necessarily work tomorrow, and what didn't work today might work tomorrow. It's all crazy like that. So thank you for tuning in. If you get something out of this channel, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and all other links are in the description box below. One of the things that often happens with dementia is agitation and restlessness, and that can come in a lot of forms. They might be fidgety, tapping their fingers, chewing. Sometimes they'll chew on clothing or chew on stuff like babies. Things that seem like OCD type repetitive behaviors, like maybe they keep cleaning something over and over, or folding something over and over, or they just can get real repetitive. And what causes that behavior? It could kind of be almost anything. It could be the dementia. It could be, you know, a change in the brain. That change in the brain may come from medication that they're on, especially antipsychotic stuff that very often gets given to dementia patients. Some people do not react well to it. My mother is one of them. That's what we went through last spring. So that might be an issue. It could be as simple as temperature. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Are they in pain? Does something not fit right? Like, I don't know, their shoes don't fit right, or they're bothering them for some reason. Are they bored? That could be. Are they stressed out? And that's always a hard one to tell, because they may be aware of their limitations and the fact that they can't do what they used to do, only they can't express things. So it just comes out in bizarre behavior. It could come out as anger or rage, or it could come out as just weird and fidgety and what seems like wandering or pacing. That happens. I've talked about this in another video, and if you haven't seen that video, it's really more important than I think I ever realized. I realize it now. That has to do with changes in vision. And I'll give you a quick update on my mother. She is saying things like, I can't see. Now, obviously she can see, but I suspect that her vision, you know, they can go to from two-eyed vision to one-eyed vision, and their peripheral vision goes, so they see literally like this. And maybe she's not seeing peripherally, like when someone hands her a glass of water. No one knows. They have put her on something called Depakote. It is not an antipsychotic. It's actually an anti-seizure medicine that gets used in dementia and bipolar, and it has helped a little bit. When I went to visit her the other day, she looked at me and said, "Oh, hi Deb, how are you?" She hasn't talked that coherently in probably a good 6 weeks. And I said, "I'm good, Mom, how are you?" And she said, "Oh, okay, you know, just a little tired, feeling like I'm waiting for bed." I said, "Well, it's a little early for bed." It was like 10 in the morning. She chatted for about a minute and then immediately shut up, stared straight ahead, and wouldn't answer me. I asked her if she was mad at me, and she shook her head no, and that was it. And that was it. So who knows? But she's still here, and some days she eats and some days she doesn't, and we are just waiting it out, I guess. But that was a total sidebar rabbit trail, so let's get back to it. how do you find out what's going on? You can do a question and answer and ask them, but there's a right and a wrong way to ask them because they can't always comprehend what you're saying. There was a point at one time where I said to my mom, "Mom, what's wrong?" And she said, "I don't know." And that was really stupid. The question really should have been more like, "Mom, are you dizzy? Are you in pain? Does it hurt? Can you point to something if it's bothering you?" Those things you might get a better response out of. Of course, it's always going to depend on where in the disease they are, but asking the question correctly, asking open-ended questions often doesn't work because they just don't really know what to say. That's one thing that can cause it. Another thing, fidgety fingers and hands seem to be a really big thing with people in dementia. And I think that sometimes, at least from what I know and what I've read, is if people were very much used to using their hands, so maybe a woman liked to do things like crochet or knit or cook and they were hands-on, or a guy was a mechanic and they were very hands-on people. Well, now they're doing kind of nothing in a sense with their hands and they get like fidgety with them. So before I start this video, I do want to say this is a total disclaimer. I'm going to talk about some things that you can get to use to soothe dementia patients, and I'm not recommending any of them. I am not getting a commission or anything for them. Okay, so it's just some ideas for you guys to go look and see what might work for you or your family member in their situation. How do you soothe that fidgety behavior? And you know what I'm going to tell you, it could work, it could not work, but there are things out there that are specifically meant for dementia patients to help with those things. They call them fidget blankets, fidget quilts, fidget aprons, fidget boards. It's something for them to do with their hands, and just my age, I didn't have one of these, but I had friends who had the old Dressy Bessie doll, and that's what I think of. So those fidget boards or aprons, whatever, have things like they can clip and unclip, they can zip and unzip, they can tie if they're able to tie, and just things to do with their hands. Some of them are made with different materials, so you might get a real soft flannel or whatever that really soft cottony stuff is. It's just so they can kind of pet it, almost, I'm gonna say like velour, but I don't know what it's called anymore, but like that real soft stuff that helps them sometimes. Stuffed animals and real baby, like not real babies, let me change that. The babies that look real, sometimes for women, they really take to that. It's a sense of responsibility, even though they don't really get that the baby's not real. I have seen people where my mom is that have stuffed cats, like a full-size, real-looking stuffed cat, toy cat. That person sits there, brings it to everything, pets it, the whole thing, and it calms them down, especially if they were a cat or a dog lover. Something in that sensory area of their brain that helps them stay calm. Where my mom is, they have a therapy dog that comes in every once in a while. He actually has a little badge and with his name on it, and I brought my dog, when my dog was a puppy, I brought her up there to see my mother-in-law, and it wasn't real hard. Some places you'll have to see the rules about bringing animals, especially if you've moved them into assisted living and they had to leave their animal behind. The only rule for us was that I had to have a proof of rabies vaccine, and I brought the puppy up, and I had the hardest time getting from the first floor to the third floor. It took like, I think about 15 minutes because everybody was like, "Oh, a puppy!" And they just went crazy over that stuff. You might be able to do that, or see, you know, some places have the therapy dogs. I've seen this too more than once And I think it just depends, and that's weighted blankets, or they have ones that are like weighted, I guess I'll call them a shawl, where they go over the shoulder. That wouldn't work for my mom. She's in too much pain with her shoulders and stuff, but that may work for other people. Like I said, everything's all trial and error. Don't bring things that are expensive if your loved one's in an assisted living facility, because it doesn't really necessarily get stolen. People go in and out of the wrong rooms. Things get thrown out. It happens all the time. So, there's that aspect of how much do you want to spend versus where is it going to end up. I think one of the things that I have seen more than anything is music therapy. It is just something that the brain, it's like one of the last things that the brain seems to forget is music. And they do a lot of music in memory care facilities. And if that's where your loved one is, or whether they're home, there's a couple things. One of them I've seen them as teddy bears, and inside it, they probably have an MP3 type of chip or something. You can load the songs on it for them, like songs that, if you know what the particular type of music that the person likes, they can actually hold the teddy bear and the teddy bear sings while plays music. They also have these things that are called one-button radios. Sometimes they have a couple different names, but if you look them up, you'll find them. One-button radios for dementia patients, and you'll find tons of them. They're very simple. They literally have like 1 or 2 buttons on them. You can pre-set the radio station so that they like, so that all they have to do is hit the button and it just comes on. They don't have to fool around with it. A lot of them also have the ability, again, to load songs onto them, like the old MP3s. Some of them come with preloaded songs, like a certain number of songs, but a lot of them have up to like 1,000 songs available on it. Music is really one of those things. It really is. Some of their frustrations may be coming from the inability to do things that they used to do. Like, my mom is so frustrated by the telephone, the remote control. They make very simple remote controls, literally for elderly people in general, that are like giant, they're simple, they have big buttons, they're easy to use. And the sooner you get them in these things, the better off you'll be, because if you wait too long, it's really hard to teach them something new. But they also have phones where, instead of having to dial the number or use the phone book, they may not be able to do that anymore on the phone. They have a spot where you can just put the picture of the person, and they just push the picture. They hit the picture and it automatically dials. It's just basically speed dial with the picture of who they want to dial. That will alleviate some frustration, but the sooner you get them used to those things, the better off you'll be, because if you wait too long into the disease, it's probably not going to work. Even simple things like, can they tie their shoes anymore? Is it aggravating them? And you don't want them tripping over shoes and shoelaces anyways. But if you don't know this, there are shoes that look like they have laces and are tied, but they don't tie. They are also meant to be put on standing up. Like, literally, they're like a slip-on shoe with no laces. They're real specific for elderly, as opposed to, I know Nike and a bunch of those make those types of things, but these are real specific for elderly people, and they aren't cheap. I will tell you that. I think the ones I looked at for my mother were like $140 on sale. So, but it's an option. There's a lot of things out there, and something else just to get them, especially if this is a boredom issue, there are games for elderly people. There's some neat ones on there, and the one I think I like the most is called Shake It Loose, and there are various, there's like Shake the Truth, there's a whole bunch of them. And you wonder, how are they gonna play a game? There's rules, there's stuff that they're just not gonna remember. But this game that's like Shake It Loose is made for dementia people. You draw a card and it will say something like, I think it says something like, keep this card if you were a Boy Scout. And so they would keep the card, and then there's the next part of it says, remember earning badges. The only thing I dislike about it is the remember part. I hate that word when it comes to dementia, and I think the people that have it, there's a point where they realize they don't remember and it frustrates them. I think it would be better if they said something like, did you earn any badges? And put it more in form of a question than using the word remember. But there are a lot of games like that out there that can occupy them. Chewing and sucking, that may seem very odd, but it's almost like babies do. They can get to a point, especially in the later stages, where they'll chew on their shirt collars, they'll chew on their sleeves, they'll chew like a baby, anything they can get their hands on to chew or suck. And that seems very odd, but there is a lot of chewable jewelry. The stuff I have seen is made of silicone. I would definitely check into that stuff, because there's a part of me that wonders if they can't actually chew a piece off and swallow it. I don't know, I've never used it, but I know there's a bunch of it out there. It's used sometimes for autistic kids as well. So if you can't find it under the elderly department, look under the autism department. They both have it. Hopefully some of this helps. The biggest thing is always trying to decipher the behavior, because sometimes once you can do that, you can kind of help correct it. It's like I always say, it's always such a crapshoot. You just don't know, and what worked today may not work tomorrow, and vice versa. So that's where we're at. And as always, have a great day.